The last shift, what happened at the abandoned hospital. The first thing we heard was the slam. It shook the whole hallway like a small earthquake. A heavy door at the far end of the abandoned hospital flew shut by itself. The sound echoed boom, 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 like a drum in a cave. Then a second door slammed somewhere behind us. The air felt colder, like the building took a breath in. Emma squeezed my arm. Noah raised his flashlight. Grace whispered, "Tyler, did you see that?" Across the hallway, under a broken exit sign, a figure in a pale hospital gown walked past. It did not hurry. It did not look at us. It just crossed the open doorway and kept going into the dark. We all stared at the empty space where it had been. My camera kept rolling. The red light blinked like a tiny heartbeat. The figure didn't come back. The doors didn't move again. We waited, afraid to breathe. Then, from somewhere up on the next floor, a metal bed frame scraped across the floor all on its own, scree, getting closer. That is the worst part, and it happened fast. But it did not start there. It started simple, like lots of bad stories do. It was 2018. We were 4 American friends on a summer trip. We liked exploring old places and filming them. Some people call it urban exploring. We called it Look But Don't Break, because we never broke locks or windows. If a door was open, we went in. If it was closed, we left it alone. We shared our videos online. We loved old schools, train depots, and little empty shops. But we had never done a hospital. We heard about this place from a message board. It was an old mental hospital out in the countryside, not far from a small town. The post said it closed years ago. The writer said most things inside were still there. Files, beds, even straps on some chairs. They said people heard doors slam by themselves. They said someone saw a person in a hospital gown walking across a hallway at night. The post ended with, "Don't go alone." We didn't plan to go at night. Our plan was easy. Go in daylight. Film rooms. Be careful. Leave before sunset. That was the plan. We drove out on a gray morning. The road was narrow and lined with hedges, like a green tunnel. When the trees opened, we saw the hospital on a hill. It was big and made of old brick, with long wings that stretched left and right, and a main entrance with broken steps. Many windows were empty, like missing teeth. A few had glass left, dusty and cracked. Vines climbed the walls. The place looked like it wanted to be forgotten, but it was still here, watching. We parked on a side lane and put on our backpacks. We checked batteries, memory cards, and a small first aid kit. Emma tied her hair back. Noah gave Grace a new set of AA batteries. I took a deep breath. The air smelled like wet leaves and iron. We walked up the hill and slipped through a side door where the frame had rotted. We did not break it. It was already open to the wind. Inside it was quiet in a loud way. You could hear every small thing. Our steps, our breathing, tiny drips of water in the distance. Our flashlights cut little tunnels in the dust. Paint peeled off the walls in curls, like old paper. Someone had sprayed letters on a wall years ago, but the words had faded. We stood in a wide corridor with a checkered floor. It felt like a school hallway but sadder. We always do the same thing when we enter. We stand still for a minute. We look. We listen. We learn the shape of the place. Then we start. Rolling, Noah said, lifting his camera. "We are inside," I said, talking to my own camera in a low voice. Year, 2018. Location, abandoned mental hospital. We keep to the rules. We touch as little as we can. We leave only footprints. I tried to sound calm. The building made me want to whisper. We moved through the first wing. Offices. A nurse's station with a half-moon desk. Paper on the floor like fallen snow. Grace knelt and picked up a folder. "Admissions," she read softly. She flipped. The papers were brown at the edges and crinkly. Names were blacked out. Dates were there. Notes in neat blue ink said things like, "Sleeps poorly, needs check every hour, requested music." It felt wrong to read, like we were opening someone's diary. Grace put the folder back and said, "We'll blur anything private." We always do. In a small room behind the desk, we found a metal cabinet tipped on its side. The drawers were pulled out, stuck halfway like open mouths. Inside were leather straps with buckles. Emma touched one gently with a gloved hand. "Restraints," she said, and her voice got very small. "People were held down with these." None of us spoke for a moment. The building felt heavier. I filmed it and said nothing. The strap looked like it wanted to tell a story but didn't have words left. Farther down, we found a ward with rows of beds. Thin metal frames. Some had mattresses, dark with mold. One still had a blanket folded at the end, neat as if a nurse had just finished tucking it. A little paper cup sat on the nightstand, empty and dusty. A window rattled when the wind pushed it. The sound made my shoulders jump. Emma put a hand on my back and smiled like, "Hey, we're okay." We were. At least then. We kept moving. In a wide day room, we found chairs in a circle like a meeting had just ended. One chair had a split seat with stuffing coming out. A chalkboard on the wall had a ghost of words that would not fully vanish. Something like, "Group at 3. We filmed the circle. We filmed the chalkboard. We told the story of routines that ended but still felt like they might start up again if someone rang a bell. We took a break in a long hallway with big windows and sat on the floor. It felt less crowded there. We ate granola bars and drank water. We talked about how sad the place felt, and how long the days here must have been for people who lived and worked in these walls. A bird flew past the window and we all flinched, then laughed at ourselves. Laughing let the fear wind down a notch. "Let's check the basement," Noah said. Emma made a face. "Why is it always the basement?" Grace nodded toward a faded map on the wall. "Boiler room. Storage. Laundry." She looked at me. "We can peek. If it's weird, we go back up." "We go back up," I agreed. The basement stairs were concrete and damp. Our lights made the rails shine in wet strips. It smelled like old water and old soap. Down there, the rooms were tighter. Pipes ran along the ceiling like veins. In one storage room, we found crates of folders, stacked to the ceiling, each with numbers on the spine. We did not open them. We filmed the numbers and left them there, like stones in a river you don't want to move. In the laundry, there were big metal machines with round windows, the kind that can wash blankets. Someone had stuck a smiley face sticker on one, long ago. The sticker was cracked, but it still smiled. Grace laughed and said, "Okay, that's kind of cute." We took a few photos. We let ourselves relax. This was one of the low parts, the quiet parts, the in-between moments that trick you into thinking the worst is only a story people tell. Back upstairs, the light through the windows had changed. It was softer and grayer. We checked the time. Later than we thought. "Let's get the last wing and then head out," I said. We walked past the main entrance. Above it was a clock with no hands. The face was dirty, but I could still see the numbers. 12 at the top. 3, 6, 9. Time without hands made me feel weird for a second, like the building had decided time didn't matter here. We entered the far wing. The floor was different, more rubber, less tile, maybe for quieter steps. The rooms were smaller. A few had doors with tiny windows. One still had a bed bolted to the floor and a chair with straps. The straps were there. They looked like they were waiting. Emma took a photo and then lowered her camera and said, "I don't like this room." None of us did. That was when we heard the first slam. It was somewhere down the corridor. Heavy. Chirp. We froze. "Wind," Noah said, but he didn't sound sure. We waited. The air felt colder. My camera picked up the sound of our breathing. Then the second slam came from behind us. We all turned at once. Nothing there. Just the hallway we had walked through, long and empty and blue in the window light. "Okay," I said, trying to be steady. Doors fall shut. Buildings shift. Even as I said it, I knew how it sounded. The slams had a choice in them. They were not accidents. They felt like decisions. We stood, still as chairs. That is when the figure moved. Across the hallway, an open room faced us, a doorway without a door. Inside was only shadow. Then a person in a pale hospital gown walked across that doorway like someone crossing a street. Slow. Normal. But it was not normal. The gown moved like cloth. The shape was human. I could not see a face. I could not see feet. We were not alone. My mouth went dry. Grace whispered, "Please tell me you got that." I looked at my camera. The red light was still on. It had seen the same thing we did. Noah aimed his light into the room. It showed peeling paint and a broken chair and nothing else. "Hello," he called, because that is what people do when they want the world to be simple. No one answered. A cold edge ran along my back, like the building had run a finger up my spine. Emma said, "We should go." I nodded. We started to step back, slow and careful, like the floor was ice. That was when we heard the scraping above us. A bed frame being dragged. The sound moved a few feet, stopped, moved again. It was on the next floor, over our heads. It was going from room to room, like someone was using it to block the doors. Noah stared at the ceiling. "Are there people up there?" he asked. If there were, they did not want to talk. We backed toward the main entrance. The hallway felt longer than before, like it had stretched. The air smelled like dust and old medicine. We were almost at the front when I saw something on the floor by the door, a small plastic card. I picked it up. It was a staff badge, cracked, with a photo of a woman who looked tired and kind. Her first name was Emily. The rest had faded. Someone had written on the back in ballpoint pen, "Last shift, Friday." I showed the others. We all looked at each other. It felt like the building was telling us we had walked in on someone's last day, and maybe that day never ended. We stepped outside onto the broken steps, and the sky surprised us. It was already sliding into evening. A light mist made the grass shine. We breathed easier. The world had color again. We started toward the hill, moving faster now. That is when we heard a small sound behind us, like a polite knock. We turned. The main doors, big, heavy double doors, were slowly closing. No wind, no hands. They came together until they met, and then they clicked. The sound was soft. The feeling was loud. "We got it on camera," Noah said, voice shaking. "We got it." We walked faster. We didn't run. Not yet. At the bottom of the hill, we looked back. A light had come on in a window on the second floor, even though the hospital had no power. It was a pale yellow glow, like an old lamp. We stared. It went dark. The window became a square of night again. The path to the car was muddy. Grace almost slipped. Emma caught her. We laughed once, the kind of laugh that wants to cry. We reached the car. We got in. I started the engine. The radio turned on by itself and played static. I turned it off. We drove away, past hedges and stone fences and sheep in a far field. We did not talk much. The hospital sat in the mirror like a shape that did not get smaller as it should. Back at the small place we were renting, we ate pizza and tried to act normal. We set our cameras on the table and took off our jackets and said silly things, because silly things can keep fear from growing. Then we plugged in the memory cards. We always review our footage the same day, while the rooms are still in our heads. We watched from the start. The nurse's station. The files. The straps. The beds. The circle of chairs. Our snack break. The basement with the sad smiley sticker. The far wing with the tiny window doors. Slam 1. Slam 2. We watched our own faces go pale. We watched the open doorway across the hall. And then we saw it again on the screen. The figure in the pale gown walking across. It was clear. It was slow. It was real in the way a thing is real when a camera sees it too. We paused the video. We zoomed in. It did not turn its head. It did not have a shadow. The air behind it rippled like heat, but the hallway was cold. We did not say the word ghost. We did not say demon. We did not say anything big like that. We said, "It's there." We said, "We filmed it." We said, "Okay." Noah said, "We should post a clip, not the whole thing, just enough to ask for help." Emma said, "Tomorrow." Grace said, "I want to sleep first." I said, tomorrow." We shut our laptops. We turned on all the lights. We brushed our teeth and made jokes about toothpaste. Little things help. I woke up at 2:12 a.m. because something touched the window. Not a knock. More like a small tap and slide, like a leaf or a finger. I sat up. The room was dark except for the streetlight glow. I heard another tap, gentle, like someone writing a soft letter on the glass. I went to the window and looked out. No one was there. The street was quiet. A fox trotted by and looked at me like I was the strange one. I laughed at myself, the kind of laugh that is only for you. I went back to bed. In the morning, we packed our bags. We planned to head to a new town, film a train station, eat chips by the sea, and be normal again. Before we left, I uploaded the clip, 15 seconds of the hallway and the figure in the gown moving across. I wrote a careful title, Abandoned Hospital, Need Help Identifying What We Saw. I added the date, 2018. I added a note. We did not break in. Doors were open. We touched as little as possible. We left it as we found it. I turned off comments for now. I did not want jokes. I wanted truth. We put our bags in the car. The sky was bright. The day felt light. My phone buzzed. A new message. Then 3 more. Then 10. It was people who had seen the clip already. The first message said, I know that place. Don't go back. The second said, that's the East Wing, bad history. The third said, look at the time stamp in the top corner. I opened our raw footage. I looked at the time stamp. I had not noticed it last night. The number flickered for a second as the figure moved. It did not say the right time. It said 3 hours. Exactly 3 a.m., the time people call the witching hour, the time every scary movie loves. But our clocks had shown evening. The building kept its own time, the way the clock over the door kept none at all. I didn't like that. I said nothing. We got in the car. We started to drive toward town. We had gone maybe 5 minutes when we saw the flashing lights. A truck from the local council and a smaller police vehicle came toward us on the narrow road, lights on but sirens off. We pulled aside to let them pass. The truck bed was full of plywood sheets and a bucket of heavy screws. On the side, the sign said Secure Property Unit. The smaller car had 2 officers inside. One looked tired. The other looked like he had drunk too much coffee. We looked at each other. Emma said, do you think? Noah said, because of our clip? Grace shook her head. Too fast. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. We turned the car around, not to go back, but to find a safe place to pull over and think. We stopped at a lay-by with a view of the hill. From there, we could see the hospital like a picture on a wall. The truck and the car parked beside the main steps. People got out, put on hard hats and vests, and started carrying boards. What do we do? Emma asked. I didn't know. I wanted to warn them about the doors that moved and the figure that crossed the hall. But warning people about things you don't understand is hard. It sounds like a story you tell to make yourself seem brave or strange. We watched the workers move like bright dots. They lifted a board to cover the side door where we had slipped in. Another worker pointed up at the second-floor window we had seen glow. He laughed and shook his head. People laugh at windows when they want to feel big. I checked my phone. More messages. One stood out because it was short. It said, look again at the last seconds. I scrubbed forward to the end of our clip. The figure crossed. The hallway went empty. The camera drifted an inch to the left. It caught a reflection in a small square of broken glass on the floor. In that reflection, for one frame, you could see us, me, Emma, Noah, Grace, and behind us, in the hallway where we stood, another shape. Not the gown figure. This one was someone in a white coat, standing still, watching us from just a few feet away. The frame flashed and was gone. I felt my chest go tight. I rewound. I stepped frame by frame. There it was again. The white coat. The stillness. The not-quite face. Grace covered her mouth. Emma grabbed my arm. Noah whispered, guys? Down by the hospital, the workers had finished the first door. The officer in the coffee mood walked inside to check the hall, just for a minute, just to be sure no kids or animals were in there before they sealed it. He disappeared into the shadow. We watched the open doorway like it was a mouth. That was when every bird in the trees above us lifted at once, a sudden gust of wings, as if the hill took a quick, scared breath. And then, from inside the hospital, even all the way up on our lay-by, we heard it again, the heavy slam of a door, and the scrape of a metal bed frame, moving, stopping right in front of something or someone that did not want to let anything out.